You ever finish a long session of gaming and feel nothing? Not happy, not even frustrated, just hollow. You look at the clock, 4 hours went by. You can't really explain what you got out of it. You weren't even having fun for the last two. You were just finishing.
Oh my god, we finally got 99 agility. I'm free of this skill, gentlemen. I'm free. I really didn't enjoy that one. It took 700 hours of my life, that's fine. Yeah.
That feeling has a name, or at least the system that produces it does. And it's not accidental. The games you play, the apps you scroll, the platforms you spend hours on, they were not designed to satisfy you. Satisfaction is a problem for the people who built them. Satisfied player logs off. Satisfied user closes the app. So the system is engineered for something else. It's engineered to keep you in a state of almost. Almost got the rank. Almost finished the pass. Almost pulled the drop. Always close, never done. This video is about the architecture behind that feeling. I want to show you how it works, because the mechanics aren't unique to gaming. They're running in your career, and how you invest, and how you spend your time. And once you see the structure clearly, you get a choice most people never realize they have. In the 1930s and 40s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner built small chambers for pigeons and rats, with a lever and a food dispenser. When the animal pressed the lever and got food every time, it learned the pattern quickly, ate until it was full, and stopped. Predictable reward, predictable behavior. Then Skinner changed one variable. He made the reward random. Sometimes the lever produced food, sometimes it didn't, and the animal had no way to predict which press would pay off. Pigeons pressed the lever at dramatically higher rates, and more importantly, the behavior became almost impossible to stop. Even when Skinner turned the food off entirely, the pigeons kept pressing. Not because they were getting rewarded, because they might. Skinner called this a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. It's a mouthful. The gaming industry calls it core loop design. The behavioral mechanics are identical. Think about what actually keeps you in a session. It's rarely the wins. Wins feel good for about 10 seconds, and then the next queue starts. What keeps you playing is the space between attempts. The possibility that this game might be the one. This pack might hit. This match might be the clutch moment you clip and post. The system doesn't need to deliver every single time. It just needs you to believe that the next one could be different. The real findings from Skinner's research wasn't that the pigeons worked harder, it's that they kept going long after it stopped working. That maps to something most gamers have felt but never put language to. The night where you played 7 more games trying to end on a win and went to bed at 2 AM having lost the last 4. You weren't chasing fun at that point. You were pressing the lever. I'm not saying this to make you feel stupid. I'm saying it because this is the same architecture running in places where the stakes are a lot higher than your rank. The notification system on your phone uses variable reward timing. Social media randomizes which posts get engagements you keep posting. Slot machines are literally called Skinner boxes by the people who designed them. The mechanic works across every context because it targets the same dopamine pathway regardless of what's on the screen. The question isn't whether it's affecting you, it's whether you're aware of it while it's happening. Once the variable reward loop has you engaged, the second mechanism locks you in. You spent $20 on the battle pass, and you put in 40 hours. You're at tier 80 out of 100. You're exhausted. You genuinely rather do anything else, but you just can't stop. Because if you do, the $20 and the 40 hours were wasted. So you keep grinding. Not because you want to, because quitting feels like losing twice. This is the sunk cost fallacy, and it's one of the most well-documented decision-making errors in behavioral economics. The money is spent whether you finish or not. The hours are gone whether you hit tier 100 or not. Finishing doesn't get them back. It just adds more hours to the pile, but it doesn't feel that way. And game designers know it doesn't feel that way, which is why battle passes have tiers and progress bars and expiration dates. Every one of those design choices exists to make quitting feel more expensive than continuing. There's a case study from the real world that makes this easier to see from the outside. In the 1960s, the British and French government started building the Concorde, a supersonic passenger jet. Within a few years, internal analysis made it clear the plane would never be commercially viable. The economics didn't work. Everyone involved knew it. They kept building it. For decades. The project became so expensive that canceling it was politically impossible, because someone would have to stand in front of the public and explain where all the money went. So they spent more. The Concorde flew for 27 years and never turned a profit. Economists now call this exact dynamic the Concorde fallacy. The past investment made future rationality impossible. That's your battle pass at 2 AM. That's why founders stay in failing startups for 3 years too long. Why investors double down on a losing position instead of cutting it. Why people stay in careers that they've outgrown because they spent 6 years building seniority they don't want to walk away from. Pattern scales. The psychology is the same at $20 and at $2 billion. The discipline that separates people who build real leverage from people who stay stuck is simple to say and brutal to practice. The time and money you already spent are gone. They don't factor into the next decision. The only question that matters is, from right here, with what I have now, what's the best use of the next hour? If the answer isn't the thing that you're currently doing, you stop. Even if you're at tier 80, even if you've been at the company for 6 years, even if you told everyone this is your thing. Let me ask you a question that sounds obvious, but opens up something deeper. Why do you care about a digital skin? It doesn't change your stats. It doesn't help you win. You can't sell it most of the time. So what are you actually buying? You're buying visibility. You're buying the experience of other players seeing you and recognizing that you have something scarce. I mean, I still think about buying the Ninja Turtle skin in Fortnite. Humans have competed for status signals for as long as we've existed as a species. In small tribes, status determined who ate first, who was protected, who had influence. That wiring is still running. It didn't evolve away because we moved indoors and started staring at screens. It just found new objects to attach to. Game developers understood this before most industries did. They figured out that you can create a status hierarchy with zero underlying value. Manufacture the scarcity artificially, and people will compete inside of it with real intensity, real money, real hours, real emotional investment, for pixels that the company can produce infinite copies of at zero cost. And here's what made this click for me. The mechanic isn't just running in games, it's the operating system of most of modern life. LinkedIn is a status game where the currency is titles and engagement metrics that have no direct connection to whether you're actually good at your job. Corporate hierarchies hand out promotions that come with a slightly better title and a 12% raise in exchange for a 40% increase in stress and responsibility. Instagram is a status game where the currency is perceived lifestyle. None of these platforms built the status ladder for your benefit. They built it because people who are competing inside a hierarchy are predictable, engaged, monetizable. There's a distinction that changed how I think about this, and it applies whether you're gaming, building a career, or investing. The distinction is between status and capital. Status is your position inside someone else's system. Your rank, your title, your follower count, your tier feels like progress, but the system owner can reset it. They can devalue it or restructure it at any time they want. Your diamond rank resets every season. Your LinkedIn impressions depend on an algorithm you don't control. Your corporate title is worth exactly what your company decides it's worth. Your YouTube video and your channel can be taken from you at any time. That doesn't mean that status isn't real or valuable. It can be used as leverage, but we have to acknowledge that it's rented, not owned. Capital is what you own independent of any system. Skills that transfer, a business that generates revenue, relationships built on trust rather than hierarchy, an audience you built, not one that was assigned to you. Capital compounds, status resets, and most people spend the majority of their time accumulating status inside systems they don't own, because the feedback loop is faster and more visible. The rank goes up, the badges appear, the notification dings. Capital building is slower and quieter, and it doesn't come with a progress bar, which is exactly why most people avoid it. The two games that I played the most of when I was growing up were the NCAA football games and Rome Total War. Like most people, COVID was the time I really dug into a lot of those games. I remember one specific night playing NCAA 14 for like 8 hours straight until 2 or 3 a.m. And then it just clicked in my mind. What am I really doing here? I realized I was applying real intensity to something that wasn't compounding. And so what changed from that moment is soon after I would start my YouTube journey and start creating YouTube videos on NCAA 14. My thought process was, if I create videos on this and I create a brand around this, then I don't have to feel as guilty playing this game so much. But then I realized that I don't really love video games enough to make a career out of it. I realized a lot of the reasons why I love video games was competition and building connections with people. And those are things you can do outside of gaming. And I still play. I'm not here to tell you to quit gaming. Games are one of the best tools ever built for relaxation, for sharpening reaction time, for connecting with friends. I still turn on the PS5 with the boys and I fire up Fortnite once like every fortnight. Pun intended. I even play Brawl Stars for a few minutes every day. However, I did stop grinding for Masters every season. It was just too many bots. But there's a difference between using a game and being used by one. And the only way to know which side you're on is to understand the system that you're inside. I want to leave you with something you can actually use, not a vague, be more intentional takeaway. 3 questions. Apply them to anything you spend time on. Gaming, your job, a side project, or relationship. If you answer them honestly, you'll know pretty quickly whether you're building something or being kept busy. Number 1, who designed the system and what are they optimizing for? Every system you participate in was designed by someone, and they had a goal. If the goal is your time on device, your engagement, your retention, then you're not the customer, you're the product. That's true for free-to-play games, it's true for social media. It's also true for companies that optimize for employee hours logged rather than output produced. Knowing what the system wants from you is the first step to deciding what you want from it. Number 2, what does the next 100 hours of this produce? 100 hours of ranked play produces a rank that resets. 100 hours of learning a skill produces something permanent. 100 hours of a job that's teaching you nothing produces a paycheck but no leverage. This isn't about refusing to have fun. It's about knowing which hours are consumption and which hours are investment. Both are fine, but you should always know which one you're in. Number 3, am I competing in a hierarchy I own or one someone else built? If the answer is someone else's, the ceiling is whatever they decide to give you. Your rank cap, your promotion timeline, your algorithm reach. If you're building your own, the ceiling is yours. This is the difference between grinding for someone else's leaderboard and building your own game. The mechanics I walked through today, variable rewards, sunk cost, status hierarchies, they don't stop running when you close the game. They're the same systems operating in how companies are built, how markets move, how people gain and lose leverage. The reason I understand these systems is because I lived inside them. I built my brand, Yadded Rambo, around being a gamer. Gaming taught me to see feedback loop. Now I'm applying that same lens to higher stakes topics. I'm moving my focus from simulations to reality. I'm going to use this channel to dissect the incentives, the leverage, and the risks of the games that matter more to me now. Business, investing, geopolitics, high performance life. If that's something you want to think about with me, subscribe. I'll see you in the next breakdown.